Ready? All right, we call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and good evening, everybody. All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Alder?
Here.
Alderman Flores?
Here.
Can we see RJ?
Yeah,
We did, okay. Alderman Galloway?
Here.
Alderman Poston?
Here.
Alderman Schaefer?
Here.
We need to see, oh, there he is, okay. Alderman Smith?
Here.
We have 6 aldermen present, we have a quorum.
All right, just for those of you that can't recognize his little master face, Alderman Smith is in the room with us tonight. So we are all 6 present. All right, there is a approval of the minutes for the Board of Aldermen. There's a mistake there. That October 5th, those minutes are for the regular meeting, not the retreat. So we'll scratch the word retreat. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
Second.
Favor, approved, Poston second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, first reading bills. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we place Bill 3192 on its first reading by title and short description only, please.
Motion made by Smith, seconded by Poston. Put Bill 3192 on its first reading by title only. All in favor? Ms. Callaway.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, establishing a sewer rate.
All right, Mr. Parsons, are you on there? There you are, yes. Would you like to take that and explain? Mr. Parsons?
I think he's getting things ready.
Oh,
How about now?
okay, we're good. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I was saying, actually, we're sitting here with John McCart, Assistant Public Works Director, and then we've got Greg Douglas, who's our Chief Wastewater Operator, and then Chris Boone, who is President of Cochran Engineering. So you've got a group of people that can answer some questions tonight, if we've got any left. I know that we have been pursuing this and, capturing all this data over the last 3 years. This has been a long process, but it's been a great process. And now that we've got the data, it's time to implement this plan. In order to implement this, now comes the hard part, really. And that's raising the rates that are necessary to create the revenue stream to ultimately implement this plan. So I feel like I hope we've done a good job. I feel like the Board of Aldermen is probably as educated as any alderman we've ever had on the sewer plan and our sewer master plan, just because of the timing of things and, the different breakfast meetings. I will say those breakfast meetings have really, really helped allow us to get those presentations out there and discussions. So now before you tonight is a sewer rate, user rate increase, and you've got the right people at the table here for any questions regarding this proposed rate increase.
All right, gentlemen and lady, are there any questions? Any further discussion about this? I think we're pretty well versed that this is a big deal, so we don't want to cut anybody short. Any questions? All right. You'll have to speak up because I can't see you very well.
I will.
All right. Okay, there. Yeah, you what?
I just wanted to ask
Steve.
Jeremy, I think it's important, even if there's not any specific questions. I know the board has been made aware of all the technicalities and so forth, but just so the public who is watching this understands the information, if they were interested in the master plan, the projects that are going to be accomplished with this new revenue, where could the public find that? Isn't that on fully transparent and on our website right now, available for anybody to look at?
Yes, it is, and that's located at ozarkmissouri.com. Under Public Works, under our wastewater page, the entire presentation, all the versions of the presentations that we've given have been combined on there to kind of show you through the process. It hits the highlights. It hits the very, very intricate data. The actual plan is on there, which is north of 300 pages. A lot of text, but a lot of run times, numbers, a lot of engineering terms. So along with Matt putting it on there, our PIO, Sam and Brooke, have done a great job of getting that message out there. It's been on the front page of our website since about 40 days ago. But I think we've done a good job of getting the word out there. But if they have any questions, you can direct them towards the website, the PIO, and we've gotten a few calls about it as well.
I just want to make one final point that I think, a lot of people ask you about timelines. They say, well, when are these projects going to be done? Is this something that's a year, 2 years, 3 years? This is a long-range plan, and it's something we've been working on since the last long-range plan for the last few years. But I do think that also, if anybody's interested, they can look up and find the timeline, the estimated timeline associated with the cost of each project on that website. Isn't that true? That's my last question.
Yes, yeah, we've got an associated timeline, the projected capital outlay, the expenses, all the details on the individual projects, the prioritization of those projects. I mean, this has been, it's funny to call it a fun experience, but it has. We've learned more about the city. We've identified our strengths and weaknesses. It's just been an excellent planning process. And I hope the aldermen feel that way as well.
Jeremy, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all the questions I have.
Jeremy, I have a question, and I think that we have discussed it previously, probably in a breakfast meeting, but I know this is the first sewer rate increase in 9 years, and I believe it's the time is right. But I would appreciate if you could give me just a rough idea what kind of a percentage increase this will be for a typical, if there is such a thing, residential user.
Yeah, so what we do is average gallons per month that are utilized by the customer. We went with a 5,000 gallon average. That's a little higher than some averages, but we wanted to go on the high side just to give a good estimate. Our current rates would come in at about $31.89 for 5,000 gallons. And then our new rates that we're proposing would come in right around $42 even. So, we're going up on the first 1,000 gallons, and then we're going up on the every 1,000 after that. I think it is important to note that we did this for a reason. We did a very minimal increase in the first 1,000 gallons. And that was for those that are on a limited income, just on a itemized income, that are small users. They wouldn't see a big impact. But our larger users that are using multiple thousands of gallons of water and then being treated, they will feel the impact based upon usage. So I think that's important to note, that those out there kind of on a, I shouldn't say limited, but kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Fixed income?
Fixed is what I'm looking for. Thank you, Steve. We didn't want to impact them too much. So again, that's kind of the rate that you'll see there based upon 5,000 gallons.
All right.
This is the public hearing.
Yes, I know, yeah. Okay, are there any other council comments? All right, Mr. Postman.
Mr. Parsons, if you would real quick, would you explain to me, so let's say I use 3,000 gallons of water, right? My bill's $36, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you use 3,500 gallons of water, when do I get charged for the next 1,000 gallons? Is that 1 gallon over the last 1,000 gallons?
Tammy, are you on this call? I just want to double check with her if she's here with utility billing.
I didn't see her. I was
It's
gonna
my,
ask.
Hang on just a second, Jeremy. I need to admit, Tammy,
Oh, there she is.
I'm very sorry,
Yeah.
Tammy. You see that at the top, and Tammy's in the other room. So we got you on now. You'll need to unmute though.
Tammy, Nathan posted asked a question that, need for you to answer. Did you hear the question? You'll have to unmute.
I did not. I just now got on.
Okay, Nathan, please repeat.
Yeah, Tammy, my question was, when do you get charged for the next 1,000 up? Is it, so if I used 1,000 gallons, that's $10. If I use 1,000, is 1,001 and 1,099 or sorry, 1,999, is that the same amount? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask.
No, it's different. The first 1,000 is from 0 to 1,000. You get the base rate, but from there on, it's right now it's $5.49 per 1,000, but we break it down into hundreds, so it's each gallon is 0.00549.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay.
thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome.
Any other council comments? Okay, this is a public hearing, and there is someone in attendance in the waiting room, so I will open the public hearing. And Samantha is on her way to see if that gentleman wants to speak. So we'll hold on for a second.
Hi, Mayor. He doesn't want to speak on this topic.
All right, so there is someone in attendance, but they do not want to speak. Is there anyone on the Zoom call that is not on the board that would like to speak? All right, seeing that there are no others that want to speak, I'll close the public hearing, and we will hold this over till the next meeting, which will be the first meeting. I think that's the 2nd of November. Okay. Yeah, that'll be a wild night. All righty, Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3193 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Smith to put bill 3193 on its first reading. All in favor? All right, Ms. Galloway.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to amend the contract with Smith and Edwards Construction Incorporated by entering into an addendum for general contractor construction services for public works.
All right, Mr. Parsons or Mr. McCart, would someone like to give your thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. This is a great segue after the need for a master plan and what we've been dealing with identifying our problem areas and identifying different issues that need immediate attention. We hired Smith and Edwards a little less than a year ago to come in and basically, I call it the Calvary Clause, to come in and help us in situations where we can't self-perform or it's an emergency. That's why we're calling in the Calvary. This year has been a year where we've actually leaned on them very heavily for all types of projects, combination of several individual projects, treatment plants, water mains, sewer mains, street and storm sewer projects, things that just aging infrastructure over time. And I'd like to say also that had it not been for them, we had some injuries to some of our crew. They were able to step in and help out in situations where we didn't have an operator. So being such a small crew, being this year of 2020, as weird as it's been a great and valuable resource to have them on board. That being said, we've encountered more projects than we anticipated, and we are now about to encounter another project. And Sam, I don't know if I can share my screen, if you've got that set up, but I'd like to kind of show you while I've got Chris Boone here. the siphon issue. And if you read this master plan, the siphon is mentioned multiple times throughout this plan. It carries a significant amount of, or a significant volume of sewer water that comes through there to the treatment plant. It goes underneath the river and goes over to the trunk line on essentially the north side of the Finley and runs down to the old treatment plant, or the north treatment plant. We have encountered, as you all know, a lot of different storms over the last several years. One of those presentations that I showed you, and Sam, I don't know if I can share this. I'm going to try.
You can, I got it set up. There you go.
All right.
I think I don't. This is not my first day. No, it's not my first rodeo. They act like
All
I'm
right,
a rookie here.
So can you can kind of see where my cursor is here. This is the siphon that goes across the Finley River. This is the old Heritage or the Career Center. This is 2008, and look where the river was at this time. This summer, we've been monitoring this siphon very closely. In fact, we have a new flow meter on it that we're capturing data. That's part of the master plan again. But we've been noticing that these major storms have had a significant impact on the siphon. I want you to look at this photo from 2020. And if we toggle back and forth, if you look at where this portion of the line is, where we've got a manhole and the water level, and where the stream bank was at that time, to this 2020, and where the stream bank is currently, and how this path of water has cut through this and exposed our siphon. We know, as I said in the master plan, that this is an area of great concern. But this year it has identified itself as not just an area of concern, but an opportunity to get in there and fix it. What we were cursed with at the beginning of the year, if you want to call flooding cursed, we've now been blessed with a significant period of dry weather. And we've come up with a plan, and I'm going to try to share this as well. I'm going to share just a quick drawing with you. Where did I put my... do you see my PDFs, John? No, is it up there? Well, just go to screen. Just share your screen and open it up. Okay, let's see if I can get you to this. Does that say share? It says resume share. Oh, it won't do it. In your packet, I did include this in the packet, and I know I emailed it to several individuals as well. What you're not seeing right now is a PDF that kind of explains or outlines the proposed improvements at the siphon. What we're seeing is significant undermining through the hydrology there with the flooding. And what we've done is identify a project to put a Band-Aid. I will say it's a Band-Aid. It's a hefty Band-Aid. It's a lot of concrete, a lot of riprap, but the idea there is to just armor that siphon. I think John's got it pulled up now. But to armor that siphon with a significant amount of concrete, build a footer around it. This shows a little better example of this. Build a concrete wall footer, and then armor it. What you're seeing here in these areas are a lot of riprap. And what that does is that allows that water to ride up and over the siphon without turning it into a catch, which then in turn possibly damages the siphon. I will say, I'm not trying to be an alarmist, and I've said this in my emails, but everybody's here at the table that could testify to this. If this became an issue, if this siphon were to fail and we had an event down there, it would be catastrophic. That drainage basin carries at least 300,000 gallons a day. And then in heavy rain events, based upon its proximity to the downtown, we can see up to 10-fold increases. What that means is we can go up to 10 times the amount of water that goes through that siphon. And we're trying to address that with our I&I work. But this siphon sits downstream of one of our most infiltrated areas, our tributaries into our sewer system. It's the oldest part of town. It sits right downstream from the original core of our downtown. And as you all know, we're making great strides to get this area buttoned up and get the stormwater situation. We're getting on top of the stormwater situation, but it is a process. It is a long, drawn-out process. I say all that to say we need Smith and Edwards again, and in order to do this, we need to amend their contract. Do I think we'll use the total amount of contract? Absolutely not. But I do know that I don't want to come to you again. I think that we could get this done for less than $50,000. If something happens and one of these lines are punctured, it quickly becomes a $250,000 job. So there's enormous contingencies in here, but again, we plan for the worst and hope for the best. And I think by getting this, if we can catch this over the next couple of weeks, when the water levels remain low, when the real rains start coming, we will be prepared. Again, I don't mean to sound like an alarmist, but every time it rains heavily, several of the aldermen know, I get really nervous. Several of you have actually been down to this site at the siphon, and you've seen the damage that these last major rainfall events have done. It will make your beard turn gray, let's put it that way. It'll keep you up at night. And I think if we buy ourselves this time with this Band-Aid, this heavily fortified riprap, it then gives us the necessary time to go in and put a regional lift station right there, and that in turn helps us with flow equalization to the new plant. So we've got all the processes in place. We're doing all the necessary steps, but we're still 3 to 5 years out on this Finley River regional lift station. So we're doing all the things necessary, but it takes a while to build a lift station of that size. So what we're asking for tonight is to amend the budget so that Smith and Edwards can come in, fortify the siphon, buy us the necessary time to build that regional lift station, and help all of us sleep better at night. I'm looking at our chief wastewater operator while I say that, but it can be a very stressful situation. So.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Mr. Poston, Mr. Galloway and Mr. Poston. Poston, go ahead. I saw you
I just got a real quick question. Jeremy, I wanted you to clarify something you said. Is this bill amending the contract that we have with this contractor, or are we actually amending the budget here to allow for the additional spending?
That we're just amending the contract because the budget, we're fine. We've got the money in the 050 budget to make these improvements. We're just basically amending the amount that we can expend with that contractor.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Galloway.
Thank you.
I think for those members of the public who may watch this program or this meeting later, a siphon is what allows wastewater to go through a low-lying area underneath an obstacle like our river, the Finley River, right?
Yes, sir.
So when we've kind of got two issues that you've been dealing with. One is our siphon is in a terrible condition and could give way at any time. That fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And we can't wait 3 years or so, or 4 years or so, to when our sewer master plan catches up with this and puts in a lift station that avoids us having to go underneath the river. That sound right?
100%. That's 100% accurate the way you described that. So.
And what a lift station does is we don't have to go underneath the river with a lift station. We just pump it out.
That's correct. We would capture all that sewer before it goes through the siphon, and then this is another example of solving two problems with one solution. We'd capture all that wastewater and then send it out to the Elk Valley treatment plant, which, as you all know, is currently needing some additional volume out there to function properly. So I guess you could call that killing two birds with one stone, or whatever you want to call it. But yes, you described that 100% accurate.
Okay, and then, what we're talking about here with this contract, the reason why we have to have it done sooner rather than later is repairing a siphon has its risks associated with it, and that is we could puncture it while trying to reinforce it. And that would be catastrophic, in that we would be putting sewage straight into the Finley.
That is correct. That's our worst nightmare.
And so the money that you're asking for covers that contingency, that in the event that we have a catastrophe, the funds are in place so we can respond immediately with the contractor that's there.
Yes, when I was speaking to the city administrator about this, Mr. Childers, he said, don't just amend it on a best case scenario, amend it on a worst case scenario. Again, plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Okay, so then we have to have those funds there. Otherwise, if we don't have them there, we don't have a way of paying the contractor to immediately mitigate the damage, which would create a great deal of liability for the city, I'm guessing.
That is correct.
And then, and as I understand it, you want us to act fast, because the best time to repair a siphon, something that goes underneath the river, is to do it when the river is really low.
That is correct. Right? And yes, okay. And right now, at this time in 2020, it's as low as we've seen it in over a decade. 2010 was the last time we saw flows this low. Obviously, we got some rain today, but yes, we would love to get this fixed as quickly as possible, because we know without a doubt the rains are coming.
So you need this to be expedited?
Yes, sir. We would greatly appreciate that.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Okay, any other council comments? Mr. Flores.
And I'm sure you guys have covered this, because I know you're really thorough on this kind of thing, but the 20 foot 4 inches that they plan on covering from one end to another, is that like adequate enough? Is that going to be enough to take care of everything that's exposed there?
So what they've done is they've taken and calculated the hydraulic flows on that, and then calculated that amount of reinforcement with the footer and then the riprap. And then over time, Alderman Flores, you actually get sedimentation that actually fills in that riprap, which further insulates that from puncturing. So as the river gets high and all those materials are flowing through the river, the riprap basically just fills in with sediment, and you've got another buffer there. So.
Gotcha. No problem. That was my only question.
Okay, this is a first reading bill. Are there any other speakers, either in the audience or on Zoom?
None in here.
I'm sorry. Who spoke?
No, there's none in here.
Oh, none in here. Okay. Thank you, Samantha. All right, Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, we place bill number 3193 on its second reading by title only.
Motion made by Galloway, seconded by Forrest, to put bill 3193 on its second reading. All in favor? Ms. Galloway.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to amend the contract with Smith and Edwards Construction Incorporated by entering into an addendum for general contractor construction services for public works.
Okay, Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we enact Bill number 3193 as ordinance number 20-068.
Motion made by Galloway, seconded by Flores to adopt Bill 3193 as ordinance 20-068. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Alder,
Aye.
Alderman Poston,
Aye.
Alderman Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Flores,
Aye.
Alderman Schaefer,
Unmute yourself, please, Jason. Can't hear you.
How now?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Galloway.
Alderman Galloway. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. All right, resolution 1949, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we read resolution 1949 by title only, please.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Poston to read resolution 1949. All in favor? All right, Ms. Galloway.
A resolution by the City of Ozark, Missouri, determining the official intent to enter into a public-private partnership to facilitate certain public improvement projects.
All right, Mr. Childers, you want to start? I know we have other speakers here, but.
We do. This is a resolution of intent, just as it was read by Ms. Callaway. We have 2 individuals that are joining us tonight via Zoom. One is Tim Mahoney. Tim works with Bass Pro and specifically is a representative for the Finley Farms Development. And also with him is Spencer Jones with Great River Engineer, the engineer of record on many aspects of the Finley Farm Development. And I believe one of the 2, and I will let them decide which one speaks first, is going to explain what the intent of this resolution is and what it will achieve and allow for us to go to the next step. So Tim or Spencer, you need to unmute yourselves and jump in and explain.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Spencer Jones. So tonight we're requesting the city's support to create a transportation development district for the Ozark Mill development. It will be a 1% sales tax on the property to fund transportation improvements. Through the efforts of working together between the city and the developer, the Ozark Mill, the city made application for the governor's cost share. And through that partnership, we're successful in obtaining that governor's cost share for much needed transportation improvements. Based upon the recent success and the partnerships that have been realized for the Riverside Bridge project, which included the city of Ozark, the Ozark Special Road District, and Christian County, we want to continue that effort and expand that success. So Ozark Mill has met with the Ozark Special Road District and Christian County asking for their support and participation in this transportation development district. At the last Ozark Special Road District meeting last Tuesday, the Ozark Special Road District voted unanimously to support the development of the Transportation Development District, as well as their participation in the cost of those much needed transportation improvements. This morning, we met with the Christian County Commission. Unfortunately, all 3 commissioners were not present. There were only 2 present. We presented the Transportation Development District to them, along with the list of projects that would be realized through this partnership working together. We have another meeting set with them next Monday to meet with all 3 commissioners and ask for their support. I let them know that we would be meeting with the Board of Aldermen tonight and ask for their permission to share with you that the presentation was well received, and we're looking forward to meeting with them again next week and anticipation that they will also support and be a partner in this effort. So the request for the TDD and the governor's cost share will provide about $2.4 million of the $3.9 million worth of projects that have been identified through this effort. And we're asking for your consideration and support for this resolution.
All right, are there questions or comments from council? I know we've discussed this at length. Mr. Galloway.
Yes, I'm looking at the diagram, Exhibit A to the resolution. It sounds to me then that what was decided was to go forward with the plan that you had reviewed with us in our all-day meeting in September. Does that sound about right? It looks like this has all the elements of it.
That is correct.
So this is the plan.
It's the plan that you see before you is a two-phase approach, with the initial phase being two-way traffic between 4th Street and Highway NN, and one-way traffic to the east from 4th Street to the 3rd Street McCracken intersection. The phase 2 component of the project would be that an alternate route would be constructed, providing additional access to the residents on 4th Street. And this would allow for McCracken to act as a one-way road from NN to the intersection of 3rd and McCracken, with an interior portion that would allow for circulation from the mill entry to the parking area to facilitate that traffic maneuver. But the public would be allowed full access from Highway NN to 3rd and McCracken.
And the people that live on 4th Street there in phase 2, when they exit their property, will there be another way to get out except on McCracken, or will it be to McCracken?
There would actually be an alternate access that would have to be constructed. For this to even be considered, there would have to be an alternate access to Highway NN or north to River Bluff and then to the intersection at the high school.
Okay.
If that improvement is not realized, then this phase would not be implemented until those accommodations were made.
I can hear a collective sigh of relief from 4th Street, I think, on hearing that. And I'm wondering if I'm talking to Samantha or the mayor or whatever, if we could maybe publish the Exhibit A and Exhibit B, so if somebody was watching this, they could see what this may look like.
Mr. Childers is going to speak on that.
Yeah, I think that the effort is again going to be a collaborative effort with all partners. So we are dealing with this, or possibly taking action on this tonight. The Ozark Special Road District has committed their to the project. The county is likely to commit to theirs. They've seen the presentation, and from what I understand, hopefully those things will go well. We do intend to put out a press release that explains what this resolution of intent does and further explains what the long-range plan is. In addition to that press release, which is likely to go out really next Tuesday, when we have heard the formal action of Christian County commissioners, we will put that press release out, and it will contain also the maps probably that will be put on, very similar to what we do, which will be a page on our website. So that will direct people to where to go to see maps and look at the bigger picture. We're also working on some other renderings, if you will, that will show a little bit more in detail what some of these improvements that this agreement will allow. As Mr. Jones mentioned, the total amount of projects that will be done is estimated to be $3.9 million. Now that's not our contribution, that's everybody's contribution, and coming from the state or especially the county. So there will be, after everybody has signed on, a press release, a place where the public can go and see these maps, and see some renderings of what all the improvements are that we hope to be able to achieve. Hope that answers the question.
No, but that's all right. I think anybody who's watching this can just click on the Word of Alderman packet and click straight to the resolution. You can see A and B. It's pretty exciting. A lot of thought that went into this. I didn't know that this was going to finally be this way, but doesn't contain any differences from what we talked about before.
Mr. Forrest?
The question I have here about phase B, and I guess, I see phase A, and from NN McCracken is a two-way road. I don't understand why in phase B, and I didn't realize this was actually going to be the plan, where we only have it one way. Am I understanding this correctly, where all the traffic, the only way out is over the bridge? Is that what I'm seeing for phase B? And if that's the case, why are we making that one way from NN? I understand why the bridge is one way. What I'm trying to figure out here is why it's only one way from NN pretty much to 4th Street and all the way through.
Yeah, the goal there, and that's really been the driving force and vision that the developer has had, is that the Ozark Mill development, that the guests that come there and the visitors that come to that property, that they also have the opportunity to experience the rest of Ozark in the downtown area. And so the goal is to try to direct them over to 3rd Street, up to the intersection of 3rd and McCracken, and then encourage them to venture to the businesses that exist on the downtown area and businesses there further south.
Well, in that case, do you guys not plan on having large events there and things at certain times?
Well, I'm sure there will be some special events, but those will be here and there. The day-to-day operation of the mill site is really just a restaurant with a small general store component to it. And then the gardens and the workshop are just amenities to that.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out why we want to, if we have a lot of people trying to leave at the same time, why we wouldn't allow them another way out besides the bridge itself. I'm just trying to figure out logistically why that would be the plan. A one-way bridge that literally we're bottlenecking the entire place, I'm just trying to figure out what the idea was there.
Alderman Forrest, I had that same question in discussing this with Mr. Jones. And Spencer, why don't you explain what your thoughts were if all of that traffic were to go west and the need for another possible intersection?
Well, and that's been looked at by the city's traffic study and the developer's traffic study, is that when you start putting that volume of traffic out to the intersection of NN, and because you have people that are wanting to then make, people that are leaving the mill site are going to want to make a left-hand turn to try to get access back out to Highway 65, they're going to want to turn left, which puts them crossing the traffic headed southbound on NN. And so it would require a significant intersection improvement there. And some of the things that have been discussed would be a potential roundabout or a signalized intersection at that location. Whereas if we can move that traffic to the east, it's all right movements, and right movements aren't going to be conflicting with oncoming traffic. So you got a right turn onto the McCracken Road across the McCracken Bridge, and then a right turn to merge in with the traffic that's headed southbound on 3rd Street. And then there again, a right turn if they're headed back to 65, or they've got a stop, or they've got a signal there that helps them get to the downtown area. And then going back to your large events, I don't think the vision is to have a large events where there's going to be a mass exodus like you would see at a sporting event or something. This is really more of a day, an extended day use type facility where that traffic's going to be spread out over a larger duration. So you would not see the congestion that you might see with a large sporting event or something of that type.
So it's more or less to avoid having to put a light there at the NN and CC.
it's definitely going to be, it would definitely be a significant cost. And we would estimate that to be in the order of magnitude of $1 million to 1.5 million.
Well, I also think too, in the traffic study, MoDOT's not going to allow another light there. And the size of a roundabout would have to be on an end that carries that much traffic would be even in excess of $1.5 million. So you're not going to be able to put another light there because it's too close to the lit intersection anyway. And with the bus, the school bus entrance on the west side of Indian River, you have a conflict there as well where it comes out. So you have a really difficult solution to try to figure out very expensive one on any end. And as Spencer mentioned, if you continue to take the rights, it opens us up to the opportunities to actually create other dedicated lanes on other roads like Jackson and the Bridge later on within the plan that are eligible for cost share dollars, and then we can continue that right-hand movement. The bridge as it is only 18 feet wide, and it's really not suitable or engineered and designed to continue to accommodate the large scale traffic, the large scale that vehicles have become, and it's simply not a safe two-way crossing.
And I guess with these bridge improvements and everything that's going on here, and with this traffic study and everything, this bridge is going to be able to handle this whole pathway we're giving them. It's going to be able to handle it over the bridge and through.
Yes, and a part of that is that you're going to limit it to passenger vehicles and not heavy trucks. Will be definitely extend the life of the structure.
I think it's a good idea to have it pass through and go east. I do agree with the bring people through the town. I think that's a better thing than driving it one way the other way and not having people go through our historic district. So I do agree with that. As long as we're making sure that we're not going to run into the same problem here in a little bit with that bridge getting that much traffic, and then all of a sudden we have to repair it again. So as long as we've cleared that, and that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Postley.
Yes, sir. I have two questions. One is, so I know there's going to be some improvements made to the bridge, of course, but if all traffic eventually is one way, both just local traffic going home as well as all the mill traffic, are we not just increasing the traffic count back on the bridge again, and to a certain extent, kind of negating some of the improvements that we're going to make?
That's a good point. And that kind of lends us to looking at the improvements that are currently under construction at the intersection of Jackson and NN to help accommodate that large volume of traffic. And usually that what we see is they're going to be two left turn lanes as you head southbound from NN to the intersection of Jackson. There'll be two southbound left turn lanes that will merge you into eastbound traffic on Jackson headed into the downtown area. So all that traffic that would typically be coming across the bridge that tries to use that as a cut through now have additional capacity with the transportation improvements that are currently taking place. So in reality, we're actually going to reduce the volume of traffic that come across that bridge.
And then you mentioned truck traffic. So now, again, I'm looking at phase 2 here, or exhibit B rather, when all this is eventually or potentially one way. Where does a Finley Farms delivery truck exit? Are we putting those delivery trucks across the bridge?
Yeah, no, and that's something too that we've talked about with the developer is that what will happen on those days when there is a delivery, the entry point from NN at the drive there across from Come and Go. Mm-hmm. That those large heavy service trucks will actually be monitored as they exit out on NN at that location. And it currently can accommodate 2-lane traffic. It's wide enough for 2-lane traffic, but we just want to promote guests coming in at that location. So for those service vehicles, they will not be allowed to cross the McCracken Bridge. They will be restricted from doing that through the operations of the mill.
Okay. Thanks, Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions of Mr. Jones?
Not of Mr. Jones. I've got something I want to say, but not of Mr. Jones.
All right, Mr. Smith, you got a question or a comment?
Yes, Your Honor. I want to kind of follow in the footsteps of my good friend Alderman Galloway and I want to brag for a moment for the people who will be watching this a little bit later. I want to brag on our city administrator, Mr. Childers, and the staff and the partnership and the work with Finley Farms on the governor's cost share. Because what I want everybody to be aware of is that when the governor came out before the pandemic and said he had some money he wanted to spend on traffic improvements, infrastructure improvements, there was about 20, if I'm correct, 20 different municipalities or projects in the state that submitted projects. Well, after COVID hit and funds were more limited, he decided he was only going to fund the top 3. And in that top 3, Ozark, this project was number 2. So, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, because a lot of areas bigger than us didn't score as well and didn't get this money. So kudos to, again, our city administrator, C. Childers, his team, Finley Farms team. Kudos to everyone that worked together on that governor's cost share project. So just wanted to say thank you.
All right, Alderman, lady and gentlemen, any further comments or questions? Okay, Mr. Galloway.
Hold on, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I need to ask a question.
Wait, hang on. A question to Mr. Childers.
Is our intent still to adopt this without the county, with what Mr. Jones just told us about the county?
Yes, there's no reason, there's no reason to hold this up as far as the city of Ozark is concerned. This would be our contribution and our commitment. It has really nothing to do with whether or not the county is going to be a part of this. That's certainly the desire and the goal, and the conversations would lead us to believe that that is the direction that we're going. But yes, we certainly want to be able to let the county know that when they take their formal action, the Ozark Special Road District, the developer, and the city of Ozark are all on board. I think it sends a very, very good message.
Awesome. Then Your Honor, that I move that we adopt resolution 1.
Hang on. Ms. Callaway has a comment. Yes, ma'am.
I believe this will be need to be opened up for any public comment. I don't know if there's anyone present that wishes to speak to this resolution.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of the resolution. Thank you. Are there anybody, is there anybody attending on Zoom or in the audience? I think they've all left, but anybody else that would like to speak on this?
Nope, there's no one in here, sir.
Okay. All right, then we'll proceed. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we adopt resolution 1949.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Poston to adopt resolution 1949. I'd like to do this with a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Galloway,
Aye.
Alderman Flores,
Aye.
Alderman Poston,
Aye.
Alderman Schaefer,
Aye.
Alderman Alder,
Can you unmute, please, Heather?
Aye.
thank you. Alderman Smith,
Aye.
we have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Very good. Thank you. All right, second reading bills, Mr. Galloway.
Yes, I move that we place bill number 3190 on its second reading by title only.
Motion made by Alderman Galloway and seconded by Alderman Poston to put bill 3190 on the second reading. All in favor? All right, Ms. Galloway.
An ordinance of the City of Ozark, Missouri, accepting the bid of Central Power Systems Service and Services, LLC, and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with such bidder for generator maintenance services.
Okay. All right. Any further comments or questions from council? All right, Mr. Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we adopt bill number 3190 as ordinance number 20-069.
All right, go ahead. Do I see a second? Okay, sorry. Motion made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Poston to adopt Bill 3190 as ordinance 20069. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Flores,
Aye.
Alderman Schaper,
Aye.
Alderman Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Galloway,
Aye.
Alderman Alder,
Aye.
Alderman Poston,
Aye.
aye vote, motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Childers, any comments before we?
The only comment I had is simply remind everybody we have a breakfast meeting this Thursday. And I believe the city clerk has polled everybody to determine who would like to be in person and who would like to Zoom. I think the majority is Zoom, and we've got that all figured out. So we'll, we don't talk to you before then. We'll see you at the breakfast meeting. That's all I have.
All right, any other comments from Mr. Galloway?
Yeah, I had a question. I don't know who to direct it to. In the process of the the resolution we voted on, how does that move from us to fruitions? I understand that we have special road district voted on it. County has yet to vote on it. What happens after county votes on it? I forgot to ask what that process was.
Well, actually, there are a couple more steps. This is really the first step in a lengthier process, because this letter, this resolution of intent is simply saying that the city of Ozark understands the goal, we understand the project, we understand the project list, and this is the amount of funding that we are willing to commit to this project. But there will also be another document that comes before you that is actually an intergovernmental agreement between the actual entities and the partners. And then I believe there is a second document that's also going to be created, which is called the developers agreement. So this is really the first step that allows for the creation of the TDD, which is its own public entity, and that has to go through the court system to be able to be created. So that is the mechanism that would allow for this entire funding process to actually take place. So it's sort of the first step in some other steps that are going to have to come forward. So the Board of Aldermen will actually see two more pieces: the intergovernmental agreement between the partners, and then also the developers agreement that says, okay, now we're going to go forward, and here's everybody's responsibility.
Does this ever go to planning and zoning, or is that not part of the process
No, that should not be part of this process.
All right, any other questions or comments from the council? All right, before we adjourn, I'd like to read the press release for the mask mandate. It was signed earlier this afternoon, and as soon as the meeting is over, I think, or first thing in the morning, whenever Samantha hits the go button, why the press release will go out, and this is what the press release will say. The decision to enact this mask covering order was not taken lightly, and a great deal of consideration went into this decision, Mayor Gardner said. We consider that hospitals in our area are overwhelmed with patients, and the Ozark School District is seeing an increase in quarantined students and teachers. We need to do our part in helping slow the spread of COVID-19 and support our neighboring cities such as Springfield, Mixon, and Branson that have also enacted individual masking orders. After taking into consideration the thoughts of individual board members and consulting with local officials, I believe this is the right time. I am asking the city of Ozark residents to wear their masks in accordance with this order so that we may see a healthier Ozark in the near future. So that's what will go out, and you all will be getting an email copy of all of this, because I am sure you'll be getting questions. So any questions or comments going forward? Ms. Alder.
So under that ordinance, are you requiring
people to wear their mask outside and inside?
Yes, it is, yes. Inside unless they're eating or drinking. If they're in a public place, or unless, if I remember right, you're in a business that has fewer than 10 people in it.
Or if they can't social distance.
Or if you can't social distance.
Or if they can't social distance.
We will send a copy to her so she will.
Yeah, you'll get a copy and you'll have it very shortly.
So does it say that in the written ordinance? Does it
Yes.
explain that? Okay.
Yes, it's very good there. Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
Okay, any other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's just that in that room, there's an echo and I couldn't quite follow everything you said, Mr. Mayor. You said something about 0 to 10 and inside, and I couldn't quite follow what you were saying.
All right, well, Heather was asking what the conditions were of the mask ordinance. And I don't have them memorized, and I don't want that to sound sarcastic because it's not. But I said something about the social distancing. You have to be able to maintain social distancing if you leave a mask off while you're inside. And the conditions for that are in the order. And you'll be getting a copy of that shortly.
Okay.
All right. Steve?
The order that's being passed is essentially the same as the order that you saw before that was discussed at the last board of Alderman. There really is very little change. It's just that the climate continues to show that the number of cases are going up, the increased pressure that is happening regionally to our hospitals and the amount of space they have to deal with these types of situations. They're all causing this topic to be brought back up. So really the order or the ordinance that you saw previously and that you had discussed is similar, if not nearly exact to what was presented previously. I hope that helps, but it will come out, so.
All right, if there are any other, yes, Ms. Alder?
And does it go into effect tomorrow?
Oh, thank you. I failed to mention that. I apologize. It was signed this afternoon, but to give businesses an opportunity to prepare, it goes into effect at 12:01 in the morning on Wednesday. So it does not go into effect tomorrow. It will be 1 minute after midnight tomorrow. Okay, yes.
I just want to say thank you, Rick. I know that took a lot of effort and a lot of thought on your part. Thanks for spending the time to come to that conclusion.
Well, it was your all's conclusion as well, but thank you. And I will say, just as a matter of public record here, for any businesses that may be listening, and for you, Heather, we have posters and of course we have the yard signs, but posters for the door. So if anybody needs those, why, there's some here at the OC and there's some at the City Hall. All right, if there are any other no further comments, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mr. Schaefer, second by Mr. Poston. Okay, all in favor, say aye or sign off. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Somebody tell me, did the Chiefs win?
Don't tell me, I don't know, I'm gonna go on.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm recording it.